What is up, YouTube family and folks? This is Kevin's Perspective Podcast, back with another perspective because everything has a perspective. You feel me? Welcome. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel as you coming in. I appreciate you watching. I appreciate you supporting. Sponsor of the podcast is Vocal Visions, expressing what is seen to accomplish a dream. That is the team. Shouts to the fellas in that. Let's get straight to it, man. Let's get straight down to the nitty gritty. You see the thumbnail, you see the title. We're gonna talk. Let's see here. Let me start with a quick rant. Car insurance is a scam.
Jake from State Farm, you're still here.
Well, unlike other insurance companies, State Farm's here for you 24/7.
Right.
Listen, what am I paying car insurance for? Somebody tell me what I'm paying car insurance for. Like, theoretically, I understand it. Of course, car insurance sells you on the dream that you are covered in case something happens, even if nothing happens. Just in case there is a potential that something happens, even if nothing ever happens, and you pay for it. I get it. I understand it. Just like any other insurance. The thing about it is, it's not like it goes to a pot. It's not like you can really borrow from it. You're paying hundreds of dollars a month, depending on your insurance policy and what kind of car you have. If something happens, then it makes sense. Great. Not great. It's not great that something happened. If something happened, it's not great. But you're able to utilize it and put it to good use. But if nothing happens, then you're screwed. You're screwed. All of your money is going into this cosmos of car insurance that you never see, and you just start to feel like you're paying for other people's claims, like a taxpayer paying for construction on the road that may never get finished. Like, that's how you feel. You feel like you're just paying for other people's accidents if you don't have anything that happens. That's when it becomes a scam. Any other time, great. Any other time, it makes sense. But if you never have an accident, if you never get, you just drive clean, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, they might have little policies here and there where they might give you a little bit back, but it's not what you paid. It's not what you paid throughout the whole year. So at a certain point, it's like, what am I paying this for? Now, this isn't to discourage anybody from paying it because it's a part of the law depending on what state you're in. But I don't want nobody to get in trouble. But at the same time, and I pay mine, so I'm not saying that, I'm not questioning it, saying that I'm not paying it. But it calls to wonder, what am I paying car insurance for? It's just like, where is all the money going? That's really the underlying question right here of this whole rant. Where is the money going? It's going to the company. It's just out there in this little ecosystem, and you don't see it, but somebody else sees it. It is what it is. All right, whatever. Let's talk about overstimulation. I watched this channel called Aperture. Very great channel. And he was talking about overstimulation. And it was very interesting because if you think about it, when we think about being bored, a lot of us can talk about being bored. We are overstimulated, like to the max right now. We've always been overstimulated to a certain degree, but now, man, you talk about OD, yes. But we are overstimulated. But when you think about being bored, I was thinking like the only way and the only reason that you're bored is because you have options. You're not really ever bored if you have no options. I mean, if you think about it, like you're bored when you have things that you can actually do that you just don't want to do, or they're just not appealing to you. You in the house, you have a television, you have a laptop, you have a phone, you have a tablet, you have everything around you that you bought or either somebody got for you. And then you say, well, I'm bored. How are we bored? So what happens is that everything that we get, we suck the stimulation out of and then look at what's left and say, you know what, I'm done with it. We do that with relationships. We do that with people. How you in a relationship with somebody, you say you bored, they boring you. I don't really feeling it no more. Well, you pretty much sucked all the stimulation out. You don't see any use for them anymore because you're the type of person who loves stimulation. And without it, it is what it is. It's done. So we use and we do people, we do things that way. We use environments that way. And really the only reason why you say you bored is because what you have in front of you, it's just not appeasing to you. And the crazy part about it is what you're not appeased to and what you're not attracted to, you attained it. You got it. You went and bought it. At one point, you wanted it. Everything you got at one point, you want it. Now, you feel no use for it. You feel like you don't need it no more. Now you say you bored, and now you have all this stuff around you, and now you're looking for more stimulation, and we want to hoard stimulation almost. We are hoarders, for real. We hoard everything. We hoard memories, thoughts, feelings, stimulation, things, physical things, whatever. We are hoarders, for real. If you actually look back at your life and look at everything that you still have that you really shouldn't have and don't need, we are hoarders. But if you think about even the pandemic really exposed a lot of people as far as overstimulation. I don't know if it weren't for TikTok, if it wasn't for YouTube, Instagram, I don't know what people would have done in the pandemic. I really don't. Because that kept everyone entertained and it kept the stimulation train going. It was steamrolling, still is. If it wasn't for all of that during the pandemic and people were just stuck in the house with what they bought and what they got and who they chose to be with, man, who knows what would have happened during the pandemic. But if you think about children, right? Children learn and are stimulated every single day. They look at stimulation differently than adults do. So it's like, I think about learning. Kids learn every day because kids see learning as an opportunity. Even though the opportunities are maybe within activities, they see it as an opportunity. You ask a kid what they learned today, they'll tell you a whole soliloquy of what they learned. Or they at least tell you one thing they learned. Adults, a little different. Little bit different. Our dosage, we still have the same dosage of dopamine that a child has as far as wanting to be stimulated. But we just see it differently. We see learning as an activity as opposed to an opportunity. It's like we think that learning has a time and a place as opposed to it being a lifestyle. Children see learning as a lifestyle because it is a lifestyle for them. They're growing. We see it as a time and a place. I think part of that, though, is like once you get older, you get an ego. And for some reason, our egos make us feel as though we don't need to learn anything. It makes us feel as though we've done enough learning or we've done enough growing to where we can limit what we feel we need to learn or what we feel we need to grow from. We can schedule learning. We don't see it as a part of open nature. Learning is nature. We wonder why kids learn so fast and so much more than we do a lot of times because we limit our own ability to learn just based off of our views of life. And another part of that really is that we think that we don't learn something unless we see a benefit from it. Everything has to have a benefit now when you're an adult. It's like, say, for example, a kid sees a word they never seen before. Brand new word, never seen it, never heard of it. And what a kid would do is spell it out, pronounce it out, try to learn what it means, what it applies to, what sentence does it apply to, how do you use it, whatever that word may be. And they may say, I learned a new word. They may not ever see that word again, ever. And they still say they learned a new word. They may even use the word just to be able to say they used it, even though they don't even know why they're using it, just because they learned it. Adults, we, for some reason, feel as though even if we learn a new word, we'll see a word we never seen before, do the exact same thing, spell it out, pronounce it out, see how it applies to whatever it is that we're looking at. What's the definition of it? And then we say, all right, got it, good, keep it moving. We don't even think that we learned a new word because it's not beneficial to the situation. If we think it's a benefit to the situation or to the environment that we're in, we'll say we learned a new word because now we see something that we're going to apply, I guess. But if it's just a word that we ain't gonna never see again, it's like, all right, whatever. It's cool. It was good for that moment, but I don't really see a benefit in it. So I cast it away. It's gone. I ain't worried about it. And then that's how we view learning and growing in our lives. And then we wonder why we don't grow as much as we should. We think we're more mature than we really are. A lot of us think that we're more mature than we really are. We may be in relationships with people who we think we're more mature than them, even though they are only a reflection of our maturity. I don't care how immature he is or how immature she is. They are still a reflection of your maturity level. You chose something that you thought was familiar or something that you thought you had in common. You chose something that you felt you related to. And sometimes relativity and commonality can be a reflection of your maturity level, of where your actual level is in life. Who you date, who you're in a relationship with, who you're married to is a direct reflection of where you are in life. It doesn't matter about the external things. The external things, as far as your finances, as far as your education, as far as your social circle, all of that, cool. But as far as your internal system and your belief system, that person is a reflection of it. Because that person is who you chose to invest your time, energy, and resources into. Who you choose to date is going to be a reflection of your maturity level. If you're older than them, it's still a reflection. I can't say age because age doesn't really equate to maturity anyway. Like at a certain point, like it doesn't even equate to maturity. You know how when they had the concept of, girls are more mature than boys and stuff like that. But at a certain age, once you get in your 20s, at a certain point, all that doesn't matter anymore. Everybody kind of levels off at a certain point because your decisions will determine how mature you really are. Your responsibilities don't determine your maturity. Your decisions do. But, moving on, let's get into work a little bit. So I saw a video from Tim Ross. Tim Ross has a channel, Tim Ross, The Basement, dope channel, a dope speaker. And he was speaking about marriage. So we're going to get into this a little bit because I want to kind of follow up on it with something a little different.
Marriage is work. Staying with the same person for 50 years is work. That's not just love. That's work. Love works. True love will work. True love will make you work on yourself. It will make you work on your relationship. It will make you work on your communication style. It will make you work on your tone. It will make you work on being home on time. It will make you work on cooking. It will make you work on cleaning. True love actually works. It ain't just a feeling. It's an action.
And I kind of wanted to follow up on that because it ain't just about marriage. Marriage is just the embodiment of consistency. Consistency is work. Stability is work. Maintenance is work. Marriage is just the embodiment of it. Relationships are the embodiment of it. Well, actually, relationships are the preview of it. Relationships just preview whether you're actually going to be consistent. Marriage is the actual work of that consistency. Anything in your life that's consistent, you work at it. whether it's your job, you work at making sure you keep that position, to keep that job, to keep that pay, to keep whatever. You work to keep it. You work for your business. You work to keep that business flowing. You work at that degree. You work at parenting. You work on all this stuff. Your relationship is no different. We like to get to relationships and get lazy. We go so hard on everything else in life and treat a relationship like it's a side dish and get lazy, like it's a hobby, and then wonder why it doesn't work. We don't put the same investment of time and energy into it. We wonder why it does not work. You have to invest the same time into that you would with anything else in your life that you prioritize. If you prioritize it. If it's even a priority or a necessity to you. A lot of people don't see marriage or relationships as a necessity. That's why they don't put that much effort into it. Because everything else you see is a necessity. It don't matter how hard you're working. You'll work because you feel like you need it. That's why you work in the overtime at the job. That's why you get up early in the morning to take your kids to serve. You work. But in your relationship, when you're building a relationship, are you really working at it? Probably not. You just think it's supposed to just work itself out, like it's autonomous. And you just add a little bit to the pot, to the wishing well, every little chance you get, hoping that it grows. You are a casual investor in your relationship, and then you wonder why it's not really growing the way you think it should grow. It's much different than a stockbroker. A stockbroker works at the stock market every day, mad hours. You are just a casual investor. You go on a date every once in a while. You talk every once in a while. You do things every once in a while, hoping that it grows as if you're a stockbroker actually there all day. You text every once in a while. You might do something for them. You might not, or you might wait for the holiday, which could be months from now, to really get serious in trying to build something. But marriage is work, like you said. Consistency completely on anything is work. And the relationship ain't nothing like, it's nothing more than a temp service. A relationship is nothing more than a temp service. And marriage is just you becoming a permanent employee. I've seen so many people at temp services who will be a temp for years and then finally become a permanent employee and get fired. Why? Because the standards are different, the expectations are different, the work is different, your image is different, everything, your representation is different, everything is different. It's not the same. When you're a permanent employee and you getting benefits now, and you have on a uniform and you doing certain, it's not the same. So you need to ask yourself, do you want to be a temp or do you want to be a permanent employee? That's the first question you need to ask yourself. If you just want to be in a relationship, just say you want to be in a relationship. If you want to be permanent, if you want to be married, then you have to understand it's going to change. Things are going to change. Your person you're with is going to change. They ain't going to be the same. The person you marry ain't going to be the same person you dated. You got to understand that. But that's a different topic for a different episode. Probably next episode. Because I got to get really into that. People really have this false mentality of thinking that everything's supposed to stay the same, even though everything needs to grow at the same time. People have an unrealistic view of change and growth in partnerships and coupleships, relationships, any type of ships. There's so many ships now, situationships, all types of ships. I just heard of something called an imagination ship. We're going to talk about that. An imagination ship. An imagination ship is different than a hopeless romantic. A hopeless romantic is someone who still believes in love regardless of what happens. They still believe in the actual fantasy, well, not fantasy, but the reality that love exists and that a relationship can exist. An imagination ship is someone who is thinking about the future and thinking about things in a way that doesn't even correlate with reality. You're thinking about kids and family with this person who never expressed that they even wanted it. You're already 5 dates ahead and y'all just talked about exchanging numbers. I understand like believing in fantasy and loving fantasy, but at the same time, you have to deal with reality. But moving on, I'm not gonna get into that right now. Moving on. So baby mama culture. Let's talk about it.
Do you want to have kids?
I do want to have kids, but I'm not sure if I want to get married.
You want to have kids, but you don't know if you want to get married. So that means that you're planning to already bring this child into and have a deficit in their life, right?
I mean, I feel like if I find the right person, we could get married. Sometimes I don't really have a lot of faith.
But do you have to find
niggas.
the right person to have the baby?
I do think I have to find the right person to have a kid, but I also feel like I'm in a position where I'm doing things for my own, so I would completely be okay with having to take on that responsibility by myself as far as financial shit go, if I have to.
I don't think that's okay.
I've seen it on YouTube. I've seen it on, Instagram. I've seen the talks about baby mama culture, right? So baby mama culture is just a culture that a lot of women perpetuate, saying that they only want to have children. They don't want to be married. They don't want to be in relationships. They only want to have children and nothing else because they feel as though they can provide for a child on their own and be a single mother on their own and not have to worry about the father being around. They don't mind having a baby daddy. That's the baby mama culture. But here's the thing, like you see videos of people, holding women accountable, saying, you need to be more responsible. You can't sit here and bring a child into the world without his father. And I get it. I understand it. But let's be clear. Let's be honest. Baby mama culture can't exist without baby daddy culture existing first. I don't see none of these women running to a sperm bank. None of them. It's not like the sperm banks have lines outside the bank because women want to be baby mamas. No. Baby daddy culture exists. And it helps perpetuate baby mama culture. You know how many guys that said that I'm going to shoot the club up? We know what shoot the club up mean. We know what it mean. How many guys say they'll put a baby in that just because she looked good? You know how many guys say that? How many guys say they don't want to pull out? How many guys say that they're ready to be baby daddies? They'll have all her kids. You know how many guys saying that? Been saying that for a while now. Before this whole baby mama culture thing existed, baby daddy's been saying that. Men have been saying that. This baby daddy culture. I'm going to put a baby in you. Okay. And all it really is just that men just don't want to pull out. They want to have raw sex and don't want to pull out. When the last time y'all used a condom? Answer that question. When is the last time you used a condom? If I ever hear anybody talk about great sex and how amazing the sex is, I'm going to assume that a condom isn't being worn. The only protection y'all have is the birth control that she may or may not be on. And here you come saying, you know what? I want to have sex, but you don't want to use a condom. You want to go raw and you don't want to pull out. And then you couple that with the fact that she don't mind it. She don't want you to pull out. And then here goes the culture. You got what you want by having great sex with no condom, and she got what she want because now she got the baby. You know, it's crazy how we trust each other in sex more than we trust each other in relationships. I know that was kind of random, but it kind of ties into it. We trust each other in sex more than we trust each other in relationships. Then we end up birthing these cultures, no pun intended, that we continuously perpetuate and that nobody polices. Nobody is policing these cultures at all. Baby mama culture, baby daddy culture. Nobody's policing these cultures. We just letting it run rampant. You don't want to get married, but you want a baby, but then you got standards in a relationship. Oh. What the hell is going on? I don't know, man. Y'all give me y'all perspective on some of this stuff, man, because I'm a little confused here. Leave your comments down below. But let's get into question of the day. If you got some questions, man, if you have a question that you want to send to the show, leave it in that email on the screen down below. And I'm going to try to answer it, man. I'm going to try to answer it. I might get to it. I might not. But let's see here, man. Question of the day today is from Brandolyn from Charlotte, South Carolina. No, Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm sorry. Thank you, Brandolyn. Thank you, Brandolyn, for sending me a question here. So the question is, how long should the talking phase last? It's a good question. Me personally, I say that the talking phase doesn't have a limit. There is no limit on the talking phase. You got to talk the entire time. There is no time where now that we are exclusive, we can stop talking. This is what happens with a lot of people, more than you might think. People get exclusive, people get into a relationship, people get into a marriage, and now it's like all the talking stopped. All the communication has stopped. The conversations have stopped. The talking phase never stops, or it should never stop. It's still so much to talk about because both of y'all are growing, or should be. Both of y'all still learning yourselves. Like I said earlier, the person you date ain't gonna be the person you marry. You're still learning yourself, and you're still learning that other person. The talking phase doesn't stop. It shouldn't stop. So you have to continue to be honest. You have to continue to be open. You have to continue to be entertaining to each other. You know, don't stop being funny. Don't stop having good energy. Don't stop being a positive vibe. The talking phase don't stop. There's still so much about life to talk about that y'all probably didn't think about talking about. And really, it's about getting to more honest conversations. Having more honest conversations about your sexual desires that you probably never talked about. Having more conversations about finances that you never talked about. Your spirituality, your internal, your beliefs, everything. It's so much to talk about. We are very complex creatures, all of us. You try to say men are simple. Men are simple. We have simple expectations, but we're still complex. Everyone is complex. So the talking phase never stops. Now, the context of the question is probably like, okay, how long should we be in this little dating talking phase or whatever before we actually become exclusive? That depends on you and that person. It really depends. It depends on how connected you are. It depends on how aligned you are. It depends on it's not about commonalities. You can have stuff in common, but that don't mean y'all relate. How relatable are you? How in sync are you? What are your goals? What are your choices? Because really the time isn't really about the talking phase and all that. It's really just about choice. You can just choose to be, y'all can just choose to be exclusive whenever you feel like it. It's not really a time frame. No different in marriage. It's really no time frame. It's whenever you choose to do it. It's a choice. So talking phase until it's ended, until you decide to end it. That's how long the talking phase should be. But thank you for that question. This is Kevin's Perspective. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Y'all peace out.